Alright, today I've got my Husqvarna RZ4216 zero-turn mower, and I was mowing my yard here, and then all of a sudden kaput. Could not drive it anymore. So when I went underneath, I had a pretty good suspicion what was going on. Come around the back side here, and the drive belt is shot. So what we're going to do today is we're going to take this one off and put a new one on. So I'm going to show how to do that step by step best I can, because it's really hard to see under here. Okay, I've always had issues with this spring that's right inside here. It doesn't seem like it's ever tight enough. I don't know if we can see that or not. It's a big spring up here. So the way I'm keeping tension on it is I just have, it's supposed to just hook here. It's a little hole where that spring hooks in. But just to give it a little more pressure, a little more tension, I've got a screwdriver running through it just to give it a little bit more. This thing is very finicky as far as how much tension to have on the spring, and if you got the right spring, or if you lose the spring to replace it, it's always a interesting thing. But I'm just gonna take the tension off that idler pulley there, and then I'm just gonna snap this belt. I'm just gonna cut it and get it out of the way. Oh, there goes my spring now. So that's kind of what that spring looks like. It just hooks on that pulley and then comes through here and hooks, but we'll go through that later. I'm just gonna cut this belt and get it out of the way. Okay, so here's the new belt, or here's the size of belt you need. 1/2 inch by 51. This is a Pix brand. Picked it up at my local Baumgars store here in Minnesota. So now we'll do the install process. Whenever I have to put this on, it's like relearning again. But it does seem like every year or so this thing snaps, but I'm putting a tremendous amount of hours on. First thing we're going to do is take this belt off. This deck belt needs to slide off this pulley here. Bring that down, and then we're going to take our new belt and put it up and around that pulley. You gotta sneak it by the little guide that's up here in the front and the side. Okay, go ahead and push that forward, get some room towards the back here. Now is the tricky part where I don't know how much I'm going to be able to show, but you need to go around. Doesn't matter if you go left or right. There's two pulleys in the back, drive pulleys, that have fan blades on the top. Okay, that is one of the worst belts to put on. I've done it a few times before, but this time it was the worst. It takes a while to remember how to do it, and then when you do it, it's so tight in there. But I made up this diagram, and now to add insult to injury, it's kind of raining on here. But what you want to do, this little idler wheel here is attached to the top of this, or not to the top, but it's on. There's a plate that runs on the top, very top of all this, and this is attached over here. So what you need to do, first thing you need to do is when you pull that belt off, slide it in there, get it somewhat started around the main pulley that's not on this diagram. Then you want to slide it over this idler wheel all the way to the top. Then you want to come around this little idler wheel here, and there's this arm that runs here, this flat arm. You want to go up in here like alongside that idler arm, or that arm that holds this wheel, I guess it would be the idler arm, and it drops down over top of this. So there's a very small gap on top. So the first thing you want to do definitely is to do this pulley, because this is by far the worst one. Then there's a bolt right here that holds that arm, and it's very tight to get between this bolt and this pulley. So I would start it here and then just keep pulling it and forcing it, and eventually it drops down in here. Get in that channel, and then you could just run this one, drops down from the top too, but there's no funny business over here. It's just pretty standard. So this one around the back runs all the way around the back of the thing, and then you want to come, the best way to do it is at this point you want to line these two up. This wheel's moving obviously, so you want to give it some slack, pull it forward, and then make sure everything's in line. And they tend to want to slip out to either side as you're doing this, of course. Make sure they're both in there, and then the last thing, slip it around this idler wheel, and then it's in place. And then you want to take your spring again and you hook it around this piece here right above this wheel. I believe it's, or below the wheel, sorry, below the wheel, and then hook this into the back of your machine, and then that gives it the tension, and then you're golden for another 100 hours or whatever it is. It's extremely hard to show because it's so tight in here. Here's kind of a side view though. You can kind of see the pulley that's the real bugaboo is right up in here with the fan blades on it, the cooling fan blades. So once you get it around that one, then you come around the back, and then the other wheel, you know, looks just like the other one. Right there it is. You go around that one, and then around the main shaft right there in the front, and then there's a little idler wheel here. So there's 4 pulleys you want to go on. 3 of them are like drive, and the one's takes the back of the belt, which is the little one. 4 things to go around, and then you're good. And then again, last step would be to put this deck belt back in place again around the little guard up front here. Put that in place, and then then I'll put my spring on. Try to get it in a place where I can best show how this works, this spring. It just goes around this bolt that's on the bottom of this pulley here. You want it to slip. You want it to slip above and beyond that bottom of that bolt. It's like there it is. Go in the gap like that. That's how it should look. And then it pulls through the hole here. So you're going to need a tool of some kind. I don't know, I got the little channel lock here. It ain't really the tool for the job. And are really tricky for me because I got this bag attachment on the back here. Can't really pull straight out, but grab a needle nose. Get yourself a needle nose pliers and stick it in the hole, and whatever you do, don't let go. See? And pull like a son of a gun. Make sure you keep it tight. Get it outside there and hook it in the hole. Bingo. Belt's in place. So I know last time I had a screwdriver in it to get a little bit of a gap, so a little more tension on it. So if you do run it and for whatever reason it seems like you don't quite have the power, or it's slipping a little bit when you're going, you know, up hills and stuff, or just trying to move quickly, it doesn't have the reaction time, you can either get a tighter spring or put a little something in here to create a little more tension on it. But I think we're ready to go now. We're gonna try it out and see how she runs. So there it is. I'm going to keep this little reference guide for myself, so next time I know, unless I just decide to watch my own video. So there it is. Hopefully you learned how to put your belt on your zero turn. I'm sure it works for different models. I'm not sure of all the models, but probably other makers too that are similar to Husqvarna. I know there's a lot of knockoff brands and stuff that have a real similar design. But if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel because I put out stuff like this all the time. Really appreciate your support. See you next time. Later.